Welcome everyone to the virtual launch of Scope Caribbean. We are so excited for you to join what will be the first in a series of virtual webinars where we'll be sharing key insights with industry players in both the influencer and talent space. My name is Naomi Garrick. I'm also known as the PR chick, and tonight I'm going to be your host and moderator. We're going to have some really exciting panel discussions tonight as we really explore what's happening in the influencer space across the region. And we'll be talking to some of the marketing experts from some of the region's biggest brands, as well as some different influencers across different platforms. So we're going to be really doing a deep dive into the topic. So you want to be an influencer? How do influencers and brands connect to create meaningful brand partnerships? So before we actually get started, I'm already seeing that some people have joined us live in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Please take a minute to tell us where you're joining us from. And I also want to hear, what are you trying to learn, or what do you want to get out of tonight's webinar? So don't be shy. We want it to be interactive. We want it to be fun and engaging. So please let us know where you are joining us from in the comments and what you're hoping to learn from tonight's webinar. So what I want to do is, before we actually really get started into the panel discussions, I want to give you the scope on Scope Caribbean. So Scope Caribbean is essentially a user-generated platform for influencers and talent. And what I mean by that is, through Scope Caribbean, you can actually be an emerging or established talent. And when I use the term talent, I mean if you've ever considered wanting to be in a TV commercial, in a radio commercial, in a print ad, to work with a brand on an advertising campaign, this is your opportunity to be seen and discovered. Whether you're already managed by an agent or if you're trying this out for the first time, Scope Caribbean provides a platform for you to be connected with the right brands. And for influencers, we're looking for all influencers, whether you are already emerging, established, and once again, even if you're under management with an agency. We want to provide you with some great opportunities to connect with the right brands for some really great paid opportunities. Influencer marketing works when brands are paired with the right industry players, the right influencers that really match the same core values that a brand is trying to showcase to a particular audience. And we want to help both brands and influencers in that space. So how does Scope work? You literally can just go on the website, www.scopecaribbean.com, and you have the option to sign up as a talent or sign up as an influencer, and you can even sign up as both. Once you're part of the Scope community, when we get different opportunities to work with brands, we have you as a part of our database that you could be selected for some of these projects. So essentially, we're trying to make this connection a lot easier for both the brands and in the influencers. Now, one of the really cool things about Scope Caribbean is that they've invested in this really amazing data-driven campaign management software for influencers and brands. And with that, they can actually manage the entire campaign with an influencer, from selecting the influencers, looking at real-time data, looking at engagement, and then managing the campaign from start to finish. So again, Scope is really here to make that process a lot easier and to help brands really understand how to choose the right kinds of influencers to reach their audience, and to help influencers understand the value of their own brand and who they should be really partnering with for some of these really key engagements. So again, we invite you, when this webinar is over, check out scopecaribbean.com. And if you think you have what it takes to be an influencer, if you are already an influencer, if you are a talent or an emerging talent, go on Scope Caribbean, check it out, and be a part of our community. So we're going to be hosting a series of webinars as a part of the official launch for Scope Caribbean. So this is the first one where we're focusing on the influencer industry, but we're going to do another one quite soon where we're talking a little bit more about the casting side of the industry. So if you're a talent and you're watching, stay tuned for this, but also look out for more information when we have our talent and casting specific virtual webinar. So I know you guys are all here for the panelists, so I want to get started. I see that we have people joining us from, of course, Jamaica, but I'm also seeing that we have some people from outside of Jamaica here joining us too. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so happy to have you on the platform. Continue sharing in the chat where you're joining us from so we can know where everybody is. So now that I've given you an idea about Scope and what the platform can do, let's go straight into our first panel discussion. What do brands really want from their influencer partnerships? So please help me to welcome to the Scope stage Nasha Monique Douglas. She is the Chief Marketing Officer of Digicel Jamaica. Hi, Nasha.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome. We also have Kimberly Lulim. She is the Global Category Manager at Grace Foods. Hi, Kimberly. You're muted.
I said, hi, Naomi, hi, Nasha, and hi, everyone.
And we have Nicole Brackett-Walters, who is a Group Marketing and Communications Manager at NCB. Hi, Nicole. Welcome, welcome. We are so excited to have you all on our first virtual webinar. So welcome to Scope Caribbean.
Thanks for having us.
As you may already know, the influencer industry is a growing billion-dollar industry globally. And brands have started to take a really keen interest in engaging various types of influencers to help reach specific audiences, to build brand awareness, and also in some cases for some direct conversions. However, it's still a space that, especially in the Caribbean, that we are still learning about. We're trying to understand, we're trying to formalize, and we're still trying to find the right fit with our brands. So I want to start first with you, Nasha. Over the years, Digicel has been known to include influencers in the form of brand ambassadors like Usain Bolt, Chief Speed Officer, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, Miss Kitty, and more recently, Bounty Killer. Why is it important? Why is that an important part of your overall marketing strategy? And what is Digicel looking for when engaging influencers to represent their brand?
I'm going to start with your second question. Because you know that I'm a very, I have very unique opinions on this process.
Yes.
I'm very vocal about it before. So the first thing that I look for when seeking an influencer that is authentic, yeah? There has to be a fit. And you spoke about that earlier when you were introducing the program. The importance of the brand and the person's brand melting into one is extremely important because we can all see when things are not authentically landing. Second and most important, especially for a service business like myself, you actually have to use the service. Like you have to engage in the service. If you're not a customer, once that relationship or partnership exists, I need to know that you are legitimately utilizing the service. It's not just something that I'm paying for, that you're just, reciting some sort of script. I want you to land in a real and an engaging way. As for why we've done it in the past, this brand has always predicated itself on youthful energy and building the right partnerships, not just with influencers who are people, but also with properties. We love working with people who are so in line with the brand. So naturally, we over-index with athletes because we talk about speed. Our service is predicated on it being premium, reliable, and fast. And so naturally, we index to athletes because of that. And then, of course, Bounty, which you touched on. I think Jamaica would have killed me had I not signed Bounty after last year. And to be fair, because that was, just to let everybody know, that was completely unprompted. We did not know that he was going to do that. As a matter of fact, and I'll tell everybody this little secret, when we decided to go in and support Versus, it only happened because I'm a fan of Versus, and all the episodes leading up to that one was poorly done because of the Wi-Fi connection or the internet connection that happened in the studios and the various the previous episodes. So when we heard about the Jamaican leg and with two of our most iconic entertainers, as Jamaicans, we never want to flop. We wanted everything to be seamless. We wanted people to have the best experience. So we reached out and said, hey, what can we do? We'll give you any amount of mix to make sure that the experience is great. But
Yes.
because we're talking about a worldwide execution and we were unsure whether or not we would be able to carry that, because remember, it's for the world. We said, please don't let anybody know who's providing the service until the very end. If you're gonna do that, it was really just for us to make sure that people had a really great experience. So naturally, watching down to the minute, we were all like this, you know, super nervous that there would have been glitches because of the attention it got internationally. It went off seamlessly. I was already excited and screaming in my house for joy. And
It was the best one. Still,
it was the best one. It was also the one that forced Versus to ensure that everybody else was in the same studio.
yes.
Because that was the problem, and that is what we encouraged them to do, try and get them together. But then also, we're Jamaicans. That's kind of our vibe and energy, right?
Right.
So when Bounty then did what he did, I think every single digital employee just went crazy, right?
Yes.
So there was no way. And of course, there was a lag between the negotiations of the contract and stuff like that, because of course it was a no-brainer for us.
Yes.
We got so much feedback from customers just about, when are you going to sign in? What's going on? So when we also listen to our consumers, right? If
yes.
they say this is a good fit, I'm more than likely going to engage in it. But then the last piece of it for me is also around that your brand has to be important to you.
Yes.
So how you carry yourself, your values, you brought that up earlier, are super important. We are a family business and I can't engage with everybody. So I get challenged all the time about younger dancehall acts.
Yes.
And whilst I would love to, we have, there's challenges with some. So we do have to be cognizant that our brand is 20 years old. We want it to go on for another 20 and 40 and 60 years. So all our partnerships have to be done holistically in the best way forward for both parties. So that's in a nutshell.
Thanks, Nasha. I mean, I think that brought a lot of clarity, because one of the things that people do wonder, like, how do you choose this person? I mean, there are some obvious cases, like you say, both, like, hello.
And to be fair, Usain was the very first brand ambassador for this brand. Harry Smith,
yes.
our previous marketing guru, got him like really, really young. He wasn't the superstar you saw today. And the investment the brand and Usain had together is really the true gem of influencer and brand management relationship. It's that partnership. It cannot work if both parties aren't in it for the right reasons, which is why you can see that relationship still exists today.
Yes.
With Usain.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nasha. So, Kimberly, similar to Digitals, Grace has worked with some notable individuals as your brand ambassadors. So right now you have Ding Dong, you also have Shelly and Fraser Price. But what I've noticed for Grace is that Grace has also started to engage more micro, nano type of influencers. So influencers that have less than 50,000 followers, right? For a lot of your individual brands. So whether it's Grace Jerk or Tropical Rhythms, what has that experience been like for you, and why has this become such an important ingredient, pun intended, for the Grace Foods brand?
It's very important to us because I think it is our way of really being in touch with our consumers, right? And so at every level, there is an objective for that particular engagement. So just like Nasha said, we have our brand ambassadors, which are our official sort of, that process is a longer process we go through. It might be we start out as an influencer, but a brand ambassador embodies sort of the values of the company, sort of the persona of the company. And that is something that's very important to us. And then when we look at our micro and nano influencers, they have the pulse on the ground, right? And they are subject matter experts. So it depends on the project that we're working on, and it depends on the objective of that project. First, we will set the objective, right? These are part of our existing marketing plans. We know we want to, let's say, if it is awareness, we want to create awareness for a particular product. Of course, a lot of people know Grace, but they may not know that we have a quinoa, and then there is a There's a nano influencer that just loves quinoa, does awesome dishes with that. And we found them online and we decide, let's work with that person because that is a subject matter expert. So it doesn't have to be that someone has to have a huge amount of followers, but if their followers are super engaged with them, that's important for us. And so that's how we sort of choose, is that we have our brand plans in place. It's not just, who is popular, but it's who aligns the best with the brand. And we look at their metrics, we look at, the way that they engage with their consumers, and then we sort of choose out of that bucket.
Well, see, Leon is saying in the comments that she didn't even know that Grace had quinoa. So now you know, folks.
There you go.
So you know what's interesting? One, and I had mentioned that earlier, one of the great things about Scope Caribbean is that it allows us to discover some of those smaller micro influencers. Right now the space is a little bit saturated. We're seeing a lot of similar faces promoting multiple brands, and not all the influencers that have over 500,000 or a million followers necessarily have the same impact that you can sometimes get from a smaller influencer that has a very specific niche audience that you're trying to reach. And that sounds like what Grace has realized as well and is starting to tap into.
Absolutely. And I think we are continuing to learn the space, right? And so are our influencers. So we're seeing them get a little more savvy in terms of making sure that their audience is authentic, which, as Nasha said, is 100% important. So it's not about just gaining a ton of followers that don't actually engage with you. We look at your following and we look at the ability to sort of, change some sort of perception based on that, that engagement with your following. So it's very important that our young influencers understand their space, understand how important it is to be consistent. And then when we are looking for that particular, objective, and they meet that with their audience, then we sort of create a match. So it's a very interesting and consistently evolving space, and we continue to just be amazed by how it's growing.
Absolutely, because right now, literally anyone has the potential to become an influencer, right?
Absolutely.
Because anyone has influence on a particular platform in a particular way. And so it's about really finding the ones that fit your brands and, as you said, your objectives. And as you said, Nasha, the values of the company, that's really important. So Nicole, we noticed that last year for your big Christmas campaign for NCB engaged the Virgo family. And I know that was a very big success for you. So I'd love to hear what was the thought process in even deciding to work with an influencer for that campaign instead of doing a traditional ad where you do a casting and get talent. And how effective do you think that campaign was for the NCB brand?
Okay, so Naomi, let me first just congratulate you guys on bringing Scope Caribbean to reality. It's definitely a platform that's needed, and I'm looking forward to great things from you guys.
Thank you so much.
Right, as you know, NCB is a family brand, and we're a little more conservative than Nasha's brand, and so usually Christmas time is a very celebratory time. And so at NCB, we normally have our Christmas campaign coming out of a tough 2020 for many persons for several different reasons, especially because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We decided to up it a notch and give a little flair to our Christmas campaign. And so I'll start on the point of matching your brand with an influencer brand and making sure that there's clear alignment, right? And so we thought of the Virgos because a young family, very, very positive influencer content is quite fitting with what our brand represents. And so we thought it would be a nice story for people to think that, Christmas is different this year. So new traditions being started, just that positive vibe. And so because of that, we brought that difference into our Christmas program, and it worked. I mean, people were singing the song. It became a little Christmas jingle for many persons. And I think the point that the other two ladies made before me around just making sure that this is not just about engagement, it's not about followers, but about engagement, about having your large audience and making sure that they're engaged with a positive message. That was the difference with this influencer on our program. And we saw the difference. We saw it in our numbers and the engagement even into January when Christmas closed. And so I think it was quite positive for us.
You know, I'm glad that you mentioned engagement, and all of you have kind of touched on the importance of engagement, right? Because a lot of times we look at numbers first, and we're like, okay, this person has a big following, so we're going to get lots of engagement. But we've seen not only with local campaigns, with global campaigns where you sign an influencer that has 3 million followers, and maybe there are 10 comments from your brand integration, and that could be because of a lot of different factors. One, it could be maybe they don't actually have real followers, which is a case sometimes, or it could be maybe that just wasn't the right alignment for your brand. And in some cases, we don't realize that people don't necessarily follow an influencer because they want to hear what products or services they like and use. They kind of just follow them just to be a part of their everyday life. So that may not be the type of person you want to associate to push a needle. But then again, Kimmy had mentioned, you know, for brand awareness, if you just want to get your brand out there, then that could be a perfect partnership if you just want to get eyes and ears and not necessarily conversion. So it's really important to go back again to, you know, what is the objective of the brand for engaging an influencer in the first place?
Right. And I was going to make that point, Naomi. The influencer has to be clear on what the objectives are for your campaign, and so they can know exactly what is required of them to move the needle. So that shouldn't be a secret. That should be something that's discussed, and you work that out so everybody is clear.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as we are still living in this panorama that we're in right now, I know that brands have really had to put a pause on some of their more traditional in-person marketing activities, whether that is launches, sponsoring events, having, for Grace, you know, maybe in-store samplings. So I find that could be one of the reasons now why brands are really looking even more to influencers. So what I'd love to hear is, you know, how has that affected your traditional marketing activities, and how have you utilized some of your brand ambassadors or even influencers to kind of supplement or fill that gap that we've had over the last year and a half? And anyone can start.
I could jump in there because that's, I think, and you know well, Naomi, because we work with you, Garrett Communications, on this, but I think at the start of the pandemic, you know, we had a lot of plans for 2020. I'm sure all of us had, right? And so it definitely asked us to sort of pause and shift into, you know, how will we continue to engage with our consumers? Because we always have to keep a pulse on what is it that they desire, what are their needs, et cetera, et cetera. And so, for instance, that was how we sort of conceptualized the whole Chilling with Grace. I would say it's a series on YouTube, but it pretty much is a way for us to sort of share and communicate with our consumers. And so, I mean, that platform has us, you know, featuring a lot of our the major influencers in Jamaica at the time. And I think one of the things is that the way that they sort of embody the brand in those particular episodes helped us to sort of transform what our personality was in the YouTube space in particular. So for instance, before that, I think we had a presence on YouTube, but we started to study, you know, what happened with the growth of the engagement in YouTube over that time. And so YouTube was a very important space for us to be in. And then therefore we conceptualized how can we hear from, you know, key influencers online as well as speak to our consumers with relevant topics. People are at home and they're hungry and they want to cook. Right. And so it was like a sort of no-brainer. And, you know, so we've had the likes of Cecilia and Tananya, we've had Shensi and Ramesh, which actually catapulted and really had a great result with that when their chemistry, you know, occurred online. And then we had Yendi, Shalan, you know, quite a bit of people that I would say own the YouTube space now as well. And so we've watched even those influencers and their brands grow on YouTube, and it's a very interesting space right now for a lot of people. And I think that is something that you saw catapult in the time of the pandemic.
For sure.
You see the metrics on that as well in terms of just people that are online watching YouTube. YouTube watch time has gone up. You know, engagement has gone up on YouTube generally, and so that was definitely a lesson for us, and we'll continue to learn, you know, in that space.
Absolutely. Nasha, what has that been like for Digicel?
Well, as you guys would have seen, I have not gone through a pandemic because I have been working very, very hard. And that's just the nature of our business. In October, we took our business to the next level by becoming a digital operator. So almost migrating slowly from being just a telco. We offer these apps, these digital services now, that various apps that provide entertainment. Guess who has to develop content? Marketing. So what you see is we have to leverage a lot of relationships with influencers and even our ambassadors. We would have signed a couple last year that had predicated on what happened with the pandemic. So, we have Jesse Royal on board now to add a different music. He kicked off our digital D-Music Unplugged series, which was to provide entertainment to go with Kimmy's corned beef and rice. You can eat your corned beef and rice, do your bank online, and then watch a free concert live on our social media. And it was developed because of the pandemic. The original idea was supposed to go out and do this across the nation. We had to pivot quickly and develop this music series, leveraging our influencers and our ambassadors, and then other programs. So, Kitty came on stream, and we would have we signed Kitty so we can develop stuff around Kitty.
Yes.
For our business suite of products, we decided to let's not focus on just pushing products and services at people. Let's do something that develops the person. So we developed a virtual program called the Digital Masterclass series.
Yes.
With some of Jamaica's most amazing people. And that was another outlet for people to just engage with each other because, like they can pass on, but also to learn and just be a better person. And so all of these things, less driven by the pandemic, could not have happened without our amazing partnerships across our micro, nano, large ambassadors, and big influencers. So it actually forced us all to do things differently. I'm not sure if I want to go back to the real world. Not fully. I like being virtual and real. Because I love the type of content that I'm seeing, across the world. Like a lot of good stuff is coming out across the world on content.
Okay, great. And Nicole.
Yes, so on the note of content is where I want to start, because now what you find is content is being demanded, not just information thrown at people, but content in a very simple way. And we have launched our Mortgage Monday series with Terry Carell Reed. And this is just difficult information. You may think that buying a home is easy, but then there's so many complicated pieces. And so this pandemic has given us an opportunity to focus on content, to simplify terms, to simplify processes for customers. And so the use of influencers is very important there. I wanted to also touch on the micro influencers, because when you have, like, finance and banking isn't easy to understand. So the average customer doesn't necessarily understand the stock market or investments and so on. And so when you have micro influencers who are technical experts, who can break things down easily in their own groups, and people trust these people, then it does help. So we do use those types of partnerships as well, not just the larger influencers.
Okay, great. Thank you, ladies. And so this is the question, all right? What have been some of the challenges or technicalities that you have experienced since you have started really engaging, whether it is ambassadors or influencers? What have been some of the challenges that you are having in this space? We'll start with it. I know Nasha looks like she's ready to go, so I'll just start with Nasha.
Couple of things, right? For me, number one is professionalism. Time is money and money is time. And whether it's virtual or in person, like showing up and being ready and being prepared is incredibly important. I think Nicole touched on it earlier on. We have to do a very good job of briefing our influencers and having them understand what the objective of what we're asking them to do. We also have to choose the right persons to do it. So when you talk about Terry did our masterclass as well. Terry's excellent. Terry researches, Terry gets deep, Terry does follow-up questions. She brings out nuggets out of things because she cares.
Yes.
And that's a really big part of it when I talk about authenticity, being real, caring. Yeah, you're getting paid, but really putting that investment into understanding what you're trying to do and what you need to deliver. So I really never had bad experiences, to be fair, last year. I think everybody kind of showed up because of the space that we're currently in. We have had challenges before with people not being really responsible and not taking the job seriously and kind of thinking that you're more important or you're bigger than the brand. And that's where I'm a no-no, because nobody's more important or bigger than my brand. So I think that's the key, I think, to the success of the partnership. You have to care. And you have to be able to invest the same amount of time into knowing our products and services to articulate in a professional but entertaining manner. So
Yeah, that's a really good point, Nasha, because I think what some of our, and for our aspiring influencers that are here watching as well as any established that may be online, it's important to remember, this is the same thing with employees of a company, right? The minute that you sign that contract as a brand ambassador or a company, you are an employee of a company, you also become literally a brand manager for the brand. Whether you are wearing the shirt or not wearing the shirt, or you're on stage or off stage, you don't no longer be a brand ambassador because you're not backstage getting ready to go and shoot a commercial for whether it's Digital Grace or NCB. People now associate you as a part of the company. So you have to remember that even when you are outside of doing the actual engagement, that you are now being seen by the general public as an ambassador and a representative for that brand.
Yep. And I would just add, because there may be potential influencers in the space. We have contracts, right? This is a binding relationship once you sign it. And if you look very carefully in the contract, you're going to see that there's some stipulations on behavior, morality, carrying self, professionalism, and I often tell myself, you affect your money. So we predicate the contract based on what you do and how you do it. So that's how the partnership works. So you get to decide how much money you earn or how much money you don't earn. So for people who are interested in doing this, brands like ours, we take our brand seriously. So make sure you read the fine print and understand the responsibility which we are predicating our own careers on.
Yes.
We sign it.
And the thing is, if you notice with like again, Digital and Grace, they have brand ambassadors that have been with the company for years, which also speaks, volumes to the relationship and the representation. So, what have been some of your challenges in this space?
Yeah, I was actually nodding along with Nasha in terms of, I would actually say we've had, for the most part, really good experiences with our influencers and our ambassadors, definitely with our ambassadors. And I think if we have experienced challenges, I think it's more along the lines of that follow through that kind of Nasha is alluding to. In other words, fulfilling that commitment and understanding the objectives of the activity. And I think some of it is just, as I said, as Nasha said, some of these influencers would have to study and understand the tone of voice of the brand. And this is something that we kind of try to drill into them when we're doing those engagements. But especially if it's a shorter engagement, that kind of thing, as you said, Naomi, a lot of people consider anyone who has done some branded content as a representative for the brand. So reputational management is another key challenge, for us, in terms of that this might be something we've engaged in for a short period of time, and then 10 months later they may do something that is not a brand fit, and people automatically associate that with the brand. So managing reputational issues that come up after that, those are some of the issues that have come up in the past, but I think generally it has worked for us because we have to sort of communicate through. And I think even with these brand ambassadors, they almost live and eat the brand. So as you know, at Ding Dong, he actually volunteers, activities that he and I will sit down and he'll just be like, what should I do about this, etc. So he collaborates, and I think that's part of why it works so well for us, is the ideas really come from the person who actually lives and breathes the brand themselves. And so that's important too, is to really, really get to know that persona that the brand has. and try to align with it as best as possible. And of course, Ashelian, Hansel, Brianna, those other ambassadors, really what we find magical about that combination is really they're very, very ambitious people. And so it kind of shows in their actions on a daily basis. So it's not that difficult for us to sort of fit with those ambassadors. And I think that's why there is this big process to get to ambassador. It's because there's so much expectation around reputational management, all of that stuff, and stuff. But we've been working through it, and I think
we're working through it, right? And that's Scope is here to help, guys. Scope is here to help.
Nice.
So I want to touch on the relationship piece. So I believe that you have to have a relationship with the influencer, and then it comes back down to care, as Nasha said. And also, you need to take an interest in understanding my product, but I'm supposed to also help you to understand.
Yes.
I go back to the point about having technical products. It's my role to help you to understand what my business is, and then it's your role to care about it such that it becomes a part of you. So I'd say relationship management is extremely important, and that's a two-way journey.
Yeah, very, very important. Have you, other than, I mean, we touched on relationship management, the importance of care, but even as it relates to, okay, you've engaged with influencers, so let's not speak brand ambassadors, but influencers for a particular campaign. What are some of the tools that you would use to measure if this actually worked or not? See, everyone's very quiet right there.
I can jump in, right? So there are quite a bit of tools, and as you know, Naomi well know, we are very data driven, and so our social media agencies will be looking at the metrics, the performance in terms of the reach of the actual post, the actual engagement with the post, which is what we spoke with earlier, in terms of you might do something and you have 1 million followers, but only 2 people commented, you know. And so if the objective for us is to actually change a perception or to hear from consumers, then that would not have necessarily been an objective met. So first, once we set those objectives, if it is that we want to measure reach because we want awareness, then we will be looking at those kind of metrics, impressions, that kind of thing. But if it is something more qualitative, like, you know, really getting consumers to understand this new, let's say, space or perception we want to create about the brand, that's something that we literally have to do in terms of studying the responses to the posts, you know, looking at consumers' behavior changes over time. And we do research around that as well. So we do a lot of research, brand surveys, et cetera, that follow up some of this, because not all of the platforms actually give you enough of the metrics to be able to measure that kind of impact that we want to create.
Okay.
So it's a combination of metrics, I would say.
Yeah.
And to add to that, Kimberly, also, it's important to do testing as you go along instead of waiting until too late. So you have a handle on exactly what's happening and what's moving, and so you can tweak as you go along.
So, you know, I'm glad you mentioned that, Nicole, before you jump in, Nasha. And, you know, I have to come in with the Scope tips where I can, right? So one of the great things about what Scope actually does through the campaign side is that we can actually track and measure in real time if a campaign is effective based on the KPIs set out by the brand. So no longer do you have to wait until the week is over or the entire month to know if this thing worked. We can see in real time and share that report with different brands and the influencer, because it's important for them to also understand what is happening in their space so that they can actually pivot and correct and try something different, right? So that's one of the gems with Scope Caribbean. Over to you, Nasha.
Well, that's good to know. So that's but in addition to everything that everybody else has said, what we do is that I like qualitative, right? I want to hear it out of the horse's mouth. And so every single day we do an intel report where we pull consumer commentary from all our social media spaces and anywhere that we find it, to get sentiments from the actual mouths of the consumer. So you'd be surprised at the amount of information, insight I gained to make decisions in here. I mean, we told you earlier that one was around bounty.
Yes.
But you know, it also, a big one was re-signing Kitty. So we're in negotiations with Miss Kitty, and she can either.
Miss Kitty's backstage.
And but we had independence, and so I have a contract. So I'm not trying to include people who are not who we have not signed in the ad that we were going to do to celebrate independence. Of course, I released a piece on social media, and the backlash of where's Kitty?
I remember that, Nasho. I remember that.
I'm going to eat my fish at Health for the morning, and people are calling me and yelling. And I spoke to her and I'm like, okay, no, we have to finalize this contract. So literally getting consumers' insights directly from them is also a big part, in addition to the research and all the data metrics that we get.
Yeah, awesome. So guys, to wrap up this panel discussion, which I think was amazing, and I've been reading the comments, you guys definitely provided a lot of insight, especially for those that are interested in this space and want to know, like, what do I need to do? What are brands actually looking for? So I would love to close this discussion by you just sharing, what advice would you give an upcoming influencer that's watching tonight if they wanted to one day work with your brand?
Okay, I'll go first on that one. Don't sell yourself out too much. You don't need a million brands to manage. Be very, very choiceful in how you execute your own brand and your own work, because one thing I can't manage is somebody who's repping about 100 different brands. Like, I don't know how you can rep cheese, technology services, shoes. It's just not believable to me. So it's about keeping it simple, finding the right partnerships for you, making sure that you put the work in to make those partnerships last. We told you earlier that Usain, Shelley have been a part of the digital family for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And so your relationship can evolve into that if you do the right things by your partnership.
Awesome. Thank you, Nasho.
All right, I'll jump in. I think to piggyback on that, I actually think that that's definitely one of the big ones, as well as we've been saying the theme the whole time, which is authenticity. And it's so important because if we're choosing, we already have our plan. So that's a lot of misperceptions that people have, is that we just see who's popular and then say, oh, let me find something to do with that person. Really and truly, we have an objective and we are looking for X, Y, Z. So we're looking for the most authentic representation of that to align with. And so keeping yourself in tune with what is it that you really bring to the table and being consistent about that. And as Nasha said, if I look on your space and I see a lot of competing brands, then it's not going to help me to be able to associate with that, because I want someone who is actually a true fan, a true ambassador for the brand. Yeah. Those two, I think, are two major ones: authenticity and sort of just making sure that you align with what your objectives are and choosing your brands sort of strategically. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kimmy. And Nicole.
Right. And to top that all off, I would say focus on your content. Make sure that you're positively engaging your followers and not just throwing out, ad hoc information that doesn't come together. Focus on your content, the right messages in the right way, and topped off with the other two things that the ladies said. I think you should be good.
Awesome. Ladies, what was funny when we chose this panel? So just so you know, we weren't intentional on only choosing female, but a lot of our marketing leaders seem to be female, so we're not going to complain about that. So thank you, ladies, so much for taking the time to be a part of our virtual launch and to share your own insight from your experience working with different types of brands and influencers. You guys have always been movers to market when it comes into these kinds of spaces, and we continue to look to you to see what you're doing with these different types of influencers as they evolve into all these new platforms that can be additional options and support for your brands and your products and services. So I know that we had a couple questions. I didn't see any brand specific questions. So I'm seeing all of Miss Kitty's fans joining the comments. So I know there was a question specific about scope. So I'm just going to answer that really quickly. But if you have any questions for any of our panelists right now, let me know in the comments so that we can answer them before we bring on our second panel. So I did see a question specifically about how can I ensure that my scope profile is competitive. So the way to do that is once you upload your basic profile, you actually have the option on Scope to continue adding additional content. So whether it is photos, voiceover recordings, videos, past work that you've done. So anything that you think can help your chances, you have the opportunity to continue uploading and updating your content on the platform whenever you feel like it. And the more updated and completed your profile is, the better opportunities that you have to work with different brands for whether it is campaigns or brand activations. I'm going to go back to the comments just to see if any questions came in. I see questions specifically asking about if you need a certain number of followers to be an influencer. Right now, globally, the standards are a nano influencer is anyone that's less than 1,000 followers, and then micro would be less than 20,000. So I think everybody starts with one first. So it depends, not just about the following, it's about the quality of the audience and if it's actually going to be attractive to a particular brand or product or service. So that's what I'd say about that. It's not about focusing just on the numbers, but what do you have to offer? What are you actually bringing to the table through your space and through your audience? So I'm not seeing any questions for our panel, which means that you guys definitely shared a lot of great information. Someone asked, will Scope facilitate training or educational sessions for persons who want to become influencers but need guidance? Absolutely. So part of Scope is that we really want to build a community for influencers to learn. We want to help with personal branding. We want to help with understanding your value, understanding your data, right? So ensuring that you have the right kinds of accounts set up on your social media platform so you can get the analytics to support what you're doing so that when you are presenting yourself to a brand like Digicel or NCB or Grace, you're coming there not just with your audience, but what your content actually does and how your audience reacts to it. So that is really, really important. Oh, we have some of Rushcam's team in. So ladies, thank you again so much. Of course, if you want to stick and stay to watch the rest of the show, no problem. But we know that you're super busy and we're just grateful that you're able to spend some time with us tonight. So thank you so much, Nasha, Nicole, and Kimberly.
Thanks for having us.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, so that was a really, really interesting and engaging panel discussion where we are really hearing directly from the brands. What are they looking for when choosing influencers for their brand partnerships? So we got a lot of insights there. I know some of you are just joining. So of course, this is going to be on our YouTube channel. And while we have you here, I want to encourage you all. This is the first time we're streaming from this page. We're going to be doing a lot more webinars like this in the coming weeks. So if you are interested in learning more about the influencer space or the talent space, please ensure that you like and subscribe to our channel. Share this episode, which is our first, with a friend or colleague that you think might have interest. So we're not going to keep you waiting much longer. So we've heard from the brands. Now let's hear from the influencers. As we discuss, it's the engagement for me. And how do influencers create really great brand communities through their different platforms? So help me to welcome to the Scope stage, award-winning journalist, founder of Kalila Reynolds Media, the business influencer, Kalila Reynolds. See, Kalila, I made sure to say the business influencer, okay? We have attorney at law turned content creator and YouTuber, Rashane Rushcam Campbell.
Do I come up? Hi.
Yes, you're here.
Hi, guys. Good night.
Hi, Rush. And then we also have attorney at law, media personality, creator of Miss Kitty Live, motivational speaker and brand ambassador, Kadeen Miss Kitty Hilton.
Hello.
Hi guys, welcome to the Scope Caribbean virtual launch.
Hey.
Hi,
Great
thank
to
you.
be
We are
here.
so super happy to have you. So thank you, Kalila. Thank you, Rasheen. Thank you, Kadeen, for really taking the time to be a part of our first live webinar. We're very excited. And as you know, we are talking about this growing influencer space that keeps changing and morphing as new platforms come out, as new players enter the space, as brands start to get really even more interested in what's happening. So I know it's a lot. I know even for some, I will say this, that I know that a lot of you don't even like that word influencer, right? Because everybody can be an influencer today. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you guys are influencers, but your impact is what makes the difference. So I want to start first with Rasheen. So I want to start first with you, Rasheen, because your journey is a little bit different, right? Both Kalila and Miss Kitty actually started off in traditional media. You just jumped straight from being an attorney at law to going straight into content creation and YouTube, being a YouTuber right in that social media space. So you skipped the traditional part and went straight into online. And now you're working with a lot of different brands. You've had so many opportunities. You've been using in TV shows for brand opportunities. I'm seeing all these new partnerships online as well. And I see you're about to host an upcoming show. So I want to hear a little bit about your journey in this space. What has that been like for you, and what have been some of the challenges that you have experienced?
All right. Hi, Naomi. So hearing the conversation before with some of our brand managers, it's been pretty interesting because the Jamaican experience to me has always been based on somebody who is a traditional celebrity transitioning over to the influencer space. So you're an artist and then, let's use you as a brand ambassador. You host a show, let's use you as a brand ambassador. You can run, all right, come. And so for me, it was very hard to tap into that space because the first question was, what do you do? And I'm like, my talent is me.
Who are you?
My talent is me. It was very difficult at the start, especially on YouTube, to be able to like set a space for myself as somebody who is just trying to build a community and an audience. And it was very difficult to kind of explain to brands why it was important to work with me as opposed to a runner and a track star, an upcoming person who just left high school or is destined to be the next big thing or so on. And so what I did in my journey was tell the truth. I was like, the only person who has the story that I have is me. And so I am going to use my story as a person who thought that they wanted to do law, tried it, changed my mind, flip it, turn it, go yes, go yes, and through storytelling develop an audience of people who were interested in what I had to say, who wanted to know what I was wearing, who wanted to know what my relationship with my mother like, what my relationship with my parents were like, and all of that, and use that to grow a community as opposed to just an audience. And so that was the approach that I took. It is still sometimes difficult to have a seat at the table because we don't have 300 million followers. But I do know that what has always been my guide and what has always been true is the authenticity that comes with the story and the person who is Rushcam. And so I continue to use that as my guide and as the selling point for why persons should engage with me and why brands should engage with me.
Awesome. Thank you, Rush. And Kalila, now you have literally turned your brand into an entire business, right? That you've taken online. So you went from traditional media, being an award-winning journalist, being on radio, hosting different types of events, and now you are a business mogul, essentially. You have started your own media company based on your brand, but based on your unique expertise and knowledge. So what you have done is you've actually created a niche space for yourself where there really aren't any other players at the moment. You are the business influencer. I think you need to add that to your Instagram profile.
Mhm. I'm
And
also gonna add business mogul. That's what you
Yes.
said just now. Yeah, I'm gonna put that on the next flyer next time you have
Yes,
me.
I think you should. I think you should. But what that has led to is all these opportunities, sponsorships, ambassadorships, revenue streams on merchandise. You just totally, in the space of a year, literally just built this business brand from your experience, knowledge, and expertise. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's just a whole different transition for you.
It really is. It's a completely different world because I've spent my entire adult life being a journalist. And it wasn't always business journalism. Some of you might remember me covering Tivoli Gardens incursion, covering various topics. I did a Street Boys documentary, I did a dancehall and HIV documentary, interviewed prime ministers to garbage people to everybody you can think of. And then in the past maybe 6 years, I just started specializing in business and finance. And in reporting on these things, I started eventually thinking, okay, why am I not doing these things that I'm reporting on? Why am I not making money for myself too?
Yeah.
And it has created so many opportunities indeed. So this month, June, is going to be 1 year since I registered the company as an LLC.
Wow.
And it's also about 7 months now since I left Nationwide with Miss Kitty and went out on my own as well. And it's just been such an amazing journey. One of the reasons I started doing what I do is because I wanted to know for myself. I wanted to learn how to invest for myself. And they said the best way to learn is to teach. So I
Yes.
started researching things and then presenting them on my social media channels and getting a really good feedback. When I do Money Moves JA, which is the show for entrepreneurs, I often have guests on there who I want to know the question. Like when I had TAJ on about how to file your taxes, I was trying to file my taxes and couldn't figure it out.
I've seen that particular episode to
Yes.
go back to a couple different times.
Yes. So I've often had people on who are able to give advice to me personally. And then what I do is just share it with the audience. And I find that strategy has worked very well. So me as a layperson, I don't have a degree in business and finance. I don't have a PhD in economics or anything. It's just been all on the job learning and through speaking with people who are in the industry. And I find that strategy has worked really well in being able to connect with the ordinary person, but something that most people didn't even realize they were interested in. Most
Yes.
people didn't know that. I had people say, when the business news used to come on, that's when I would turn off the TV because news done. And now they're interested in the business news because
Yes.
Kalila said Wigton or Kalila says something, and now they understand what's happening. And that's been my strategy. It's been quite a journey so far, and I'm just getting started.
Yeah, because everybody needs to get this money, right?
That's right. Let's get this money.
I know that's right.
That's right. Thank you, Kalila. So, Miss Kitty,
Yes, ma'am. Hi.
your journey now. No, I mean, you started as a media personality in the traditional space that we're talking about, right? So, first of all, I saw your whole army come on from like about 10 minutes ago.
In the house. My in the house.
So thank you for bringing them over here.
Yes, I love them. And I want to just say, I'm always very grateful to my fans and my supporters. And thank you, Naomi, for having me on this platform, along with Kalila, along with Rushcam, who I love dearly. And I love you too. And I just want to say thanks to all of the viewers on tonight. Thank you for taking the time out, because oftentimes it is not these uplifting or edifying platforms that get featured or people see the importance of. But I want people to understand, if you want to change your life and if you want to elevate your mind, you have to edify yourself and put yourself in the spaces that will do same. You cannot find a shark in a dirty pond or in a little water. It's not going to happen. And sometimes we oftentimes wonder, why we're life stagnant, why we're not moving forward, why we're not growing, is because we're not stretching ourselves enough and taking ourselves into spaces that will cause us to elevate. A lot of us are in circles that are not circles, they are cages. Your circle is not a circle, it's a cage. This year, you need some new friends, you need some new things. Watch Kalila, watch Rush Cam, listen to Miss Kitty Live, come to Scope Caribbean and learn to grow and expand the scope of your mind, expand
Oh,
the
I love
scope
that.
of your reach, expand the scope of what you can do, and then just look for the people that want to do the right thing and they follow what they do. I realize that the people them who successful, them eat healthy, them exercise, and them read olive. So guess what me I do? Read olive, exercise, and eat healthy. Because when me look for the rich people, them adapt me to them I do. So them have a formula. Yeah.
I love it. So first of all, the fact that you brought over your whole community here speaks to the power of influence. Because I know that you must have said something, whether on a tweet, a post, or something, because all at once I just saw people coming in the comments for Miss Kitty, right? So as we're speaking about that, Kadeen, I mean, your media personality, you started in the traditional media space. You're hosting Miss Kitty Live, and you have hosted multiple events.
Yeah.
And I think what to me is super exciting is a couple of things. One, Rasheen spoke about brand ambassadors being traditionally track star, athlete, musician. Yeah. But here you are, a brand ambassador for Digicel Jamaica, and you are none of those things.
Yeah.
You are the only ambassador on that platform that is not in that category.
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes about your own brand. So, I just want to celebrate you in this moment, especially the fact that you reached 1 million followers on Instagram.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
That's a big deal.
Thank you.
In the middle of a pandemic.
La 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 la. La for Miss Kitty.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it wouldn't be possible without my followers and my supporters, my Kittykins. And so I sincerely appreciate them. And if you're wondering what's Kittykins all about, well, kindred spirit. The kin is for family. Kin, we're of the kindred spirit. We're of kins. When I say next of kin, your family, your closeness, we're in the same community. And so they're my Kittykins. So I thank them. And I thank all the persons who have supported my journey along the way. Now, as you mentioned earlier, I'm not a track star. I'm not any of those things. But as Rush Cam alluded to earlier, I am myself. I am the genuine article, and I'm just being me and being genuine and honest and authentic to the core. And there are certain things that I stand for. There are certain things that I advocate for. And so it was nice to see that companies. I've also been a brand ambassador for other companies as well that have
right, because like ITEL BPO as well, correct?
Right, ITEL, right? Just did some work with Visa as well, and countless other companies who have engaged me over the years. I think what people understand, and what is probably my superpower, magic, uniqueness, is the fact that I eat with kings and queens, but I have the common touch. So whether you're from whichever stratum of society you are, Miss Kitty can communicate with you and get your product idea or whatever it is that you want to communicate and disseminate that information. So whether you want to speak to the Prime Minister, whether you want to speak to the doctor, the lawyer, I can do that. If you want me to speak to somebody from Tivoli, I can do that. I can go down a town, I can go right town, I can go around this. If you want me to go country, I go around this too. Because we know about babies and we know about the stuff of them, or water walk that pumpkin belly. And if you can't hear you, we feel. So I think that, being diverse, being authentic. Many persons have referred to me as, Miss Lou in HD or Miss Lou 2.0.
I love that.
Yes, right. It is an honor and a compliment that I really am humbled by, because Miss Lou is definitely an iconic figure to whom I look up, and I have the greatest of respect and admiration. So I think that a part of my being, and I'm colorful, and again, and I came and I broke the mold. Miss Lou, for example, was the original fluffy diva, if you may, but Miss Lou came as a very auntie type of figure. However, Miss Kitty came with the sexiness and the aptness and the brilliance too and the brain too. So not only are we beautiful, not only are we hot, but we're bright, put on top and we're hardworking. And so I think it was a wonderful amalgamation of, being truly authentic, being Jamaican, and also looking forward and bringing in new things. I didn't realize that I was code switching until people pointed it out to me. To me, me just attack. I don't like my plan for do it, or like I organize it. So
like what you just did a while ago, right?
Right. Okay. Right. Like that. So when companies also understand that the truth is the truth, because you see there are a lot of people around here who are manufactured, and one thing with people, they can see through the lies, they can see through
Absolutely.
you being a pretender, they know when you are fake it. So when people meet me in real life, they'll say, but boy, Miss Kitty, you laugh the same way, you go the same way, because this is who I am. As I said before, I won't be everybody cup of tea, but me know some me as somebody nice bowl of cornmeal porridge, because tea bus gas, but porridge billion structure. So at the end of the day, you won't be able to serve everyone, but I believe that whomever I am serving, I'm a very hard worker, I'm very ambitious, I'm a go-getter and a goal-getter, and so I go hard on my radio show Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 on Nationwide 90 FM. We bring it. Kalila used to produce me back in the day at RETV when I was doing the show. So a long time where I work, boy. Yeah. So as I tell people, when you see people with them things, don't grudge them. You know, you see my glory, but you don't know my story. You see my life, but you don't know my sacrifice. And so as an influencer, I don't even consider myself an influencer, because that can have some very negative connotations. Because nowadays, influencers, if you are wearing like an impy skimpy and you're showing a nipple here or a vulva there, then you're an influencer. I don't really know about all of that. I regard myself as a woman of impact. And that is what I want to do, because wherever I go, I endeavor to leave the place better and to leave people better.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Kitty. So what I want to know is, and Rush, we had this conversation earlier, right? That term that you gave me, right? Multi-platform, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
So, no, there's so many platforms out there. How do you guys choose? And I know, Kalila, you're on a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
How do you choose the best platform to engage your audience? So I'm gonna start with you, Rush, since you can break down that term for me.
I think it's gonna be based on what kind of content you're looking to disseminate. It can't be so the question in and of itself has to be expanded to the question of what do you want to say and who do you want to touch and in what way. So for example, you know about you want to talk about fashion. Fashion is visual.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at something visual, most definitely a conversation is not going to prompt it on Twitter. Like, you're not going to tweet and say, hey guys, I have a blue shirt and it's okay, you might post a photo, but it will not have the same effect. So when I have that conversation with myself, I ask, what am I trying to send out and what's the purpose? Like my friends will tell you, the first question I ask is, why am I doing this? What am I do this for? Why? And so when I go on the different platforms, for example, Twitter for me is about thought leadership. Twitter is about having a conversation. Twitter is about sharing those thoughts, because that's the point of the platform.
Right.
Whereas Instagram is about look at me. This is what I like. I'm gonna be on Scope Caribbean's launch today. And then the TikTok now is where you get super creative and you boom flick and Miss Kitty, you change the wig, you go so and the wig change and you go so and the wig change again. Right. So it all depends on that. But the beauty of being a multi-platformite is that you can take one piece of content and splice it up in different ways that it is applicable to each. So let us say that you have a YouTube video, for example. I do this all the time. You know this, Naomi. I take a 30-second snippet out of the YouTube video, I put it on TikTok. I take a next 5 second. No, I take the 5 second, I put it on TikTok. The 30-second, put it on Instagram. Tweet about something from it to prompt a conversation on Twitter. Then you have the long form on YouTube. One thing can go in very different ways. It's almost like the feeding of the 5,000 with one piece of content. And so that is what I encourage people to do. Don't bother, you don't have to stress yourself and be like, oh my goodness, for TikTok I have to do this and this I have to do that and this I have to do that. But you know what it is, Naomi? Why I can do that? It's because it's one rush cam across the board.
Yes.
You're showing up in different spaces as different people. You're going to have to play hands of the 85 and you have to take off the cap here and put on the next cap and say, oh my goodness, I have to change it because on TikTok I'm so cute and on Instagram I am like straightforward. And on Twitter, I'm like rich. Like if you're showing up as different people, it's gonna be hard for you to splice. I can show up on several places in one way because I'm the same person everywhere. Miss Kitty can tell you, you know as well, and Kalila wants. So
I want a collection plate for the
yes,
server.
hallelujah. So that is just that I approach it for sure.
So, to add to what you just said, Rush, as he spoke about the feeding of the 5,000, Kalila is very, very good at that too, where she takes this one piece of content and you're going to get stuff in the newsletter, you're going to get something on Taking Stock, you now have stuff in the Jamaica Observer. So tell us about that for you, Kalila, because you are literally trying out everything.
Yeah, and I learned some of that from you. So that newsletter was your idea. I think it was your idea, probably from one of your webinars that you had on IG. You're one of my favorite people to follow, Naomi. So that was a great idea. I'm looking to now monetize that newsletter. So if anybody wants to sponsor it, anybody wants to sponsor the newsletter, drop me a word. But yeah, exactly what Rushcam just said. So you need to repurpose your content. And I've been at trying to decide for the past several months if I should join TikTok, and I'm like, oh, it's another thing. Like I don't want to be responsible for. Well, I joined last week. You'd be happy to know. But what was keeping me back was that I was just thinking, how do I provide content for another platform? And you're right, Rush. So what I did, and I've only posted 2 things so far, but my second post was the first one was a test. The second one was repurposing content from one of my existing shows. So there was a small clip in there that was funny. And I just repurposed it, edited it a different kind of way for the TikTok audience and put it out there. And that's what I plan to do with TikTok. The other thing people have been trying to convince me to do is, what's the audio one? Clubhouse. I'm still on the fence about Clubhouse, but
it's about Clubhouse
because all of these things.
I think it's fizzled.
I don't know. All of these things take time to dedicate. And even when you are repurposing content, you still have to take the time to take out the clip and post it and think of the hashtags for the various platforms and post it in the right way for the audience that's there. And I think audience is the next very important point in deciding what platforms you're going to use. So Rush said that you need to know what your message is, but you also need to know who are you trying to reach and where are they? What platforms do they use? Do you want to reach older people and Facebook might be your audience? You want to reach younger people and TikTok might be your audience? Millennials are on Instagram a lot. You want to reach, are you doing B2B, business to business sales? Then you might want to be on LinkedIn. So that helps you determine which platform you're going to invest the most time in. And then, of course, the format. So if you're doing audio, then Clubhouse is a great place for you. If you are doing a lot of text, then you might want a platform that allows you to post text, like Facebook does that, LinkedIn does that. If you are good at video, then you want to look at YouTube, of course, if you're doing long form. IG has IGTV. So all of these shape what platform you're going to target and spend your time on, because ultimately you don't want to spread yourself too thin. If you try to be on everything, you can't do all things well. So choose a couple and dedicate time to it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add though, that, and I said it to you earlier, remember that we do not own these platforms. And so
yes,
God forbid tomorrow morning, Mr. Facebook himself, Mark, say, you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm going to shut it down. All the best. It would still be good to know that you, on top of having a website, I'm fighting for mine. If you're watching this right now and you have my domain, can I get it, please? But if you are looking, if you're on several different platforms, at least if anything happens, like for example, sometimes say Twitter go down or Instagram go down, you can still come and direct people to a place and say, all right, guys, I'm here until something is clarified or so on. So that's also a good.
That's a very good point, Rush.
If you get locked out or hacked, cybersecurity is a huge thing
you
too.
just lose your entire audience Your
Yeah.
1 million, Miss Kitty, like that.
But I just
Okay?
I would cry.
black pits are spread out and just roll. But I just cry. Cause me say, sir, after all my got through in a life, you do me that your mother don't like it. Don't do that. God upset and the disciple them. But
I was actually going to say, for you specifically, because we've been talking about, repurposing content. And
yeah,
I've been seeing that with Miss Kitty Live, I will see snippets on Instagram, and
yeah,
then I can watch it live on Instagram, or
yes,
I can go back and look at it on YouTube.
yes,
So I think that because it's actually, if I miss an episode, it's a snippet I see on Instagram that make me go over now to YouTube to watch the entire thing. So
yeah,
even by recording things
yes.
live, you can do so much with the content.
Well, let me just first say big ups to my social media manager, Lethan Grandison. He is the man behind it because I have been in my academic prison for a little while. Now that I am out, I am just coming in the world. And so I am also adjusting to this new foray or this new climate on all that is happening. And I just wanted to say to, especially influencers who are just coming on, you don't necessarily have to have it all figured out at once, and you're not going to start at the 1 million mark or the 500,000 mark like everybody else. But I think that once you are authentic and once you are determined and once you are ambitious, you will be able to make the mark. So I'm still learning. So when I went to academic jail, right, I wasn't
But you came out of academic jail with a law degree, okay? So let's just be
perfect,
very clear.
right, and being called to the bar on December 15th, 2020, which makes me an attorney, right? So I'm grateful. But coming out to navigate the space, look what is going on. My thing is, it doesn't always have to be a competition. And everybody has their own audience and the pie is big enough for all of us. I am still now learning to, repurpose footage, put it in other places. Because of the pandemic, what has happened is that there are certain platforms that were normally overlooked. A lot of people weren't really so focused, on probably a YouTube or even a TikTok. But now that everybody has their phone and everybody is on their phone, now you have to tap into that. So you have to just reimagine and you have to learn how to adapt and how to pivot and how to really think outside the box. So maybe I wasn't thinking about YouTube like that to say, oh my God, because it's YouTube, okay, whatever. I'm not thinking about, oh my God, they actually make money over there. They actually, oh wow,
A
oh wow,
lot, a lot, a lot of money. A
a
lot.
lot of money.
A lot of money.
I'm thinking about a lot of money in real life, like in my hand. I never really thought about it. So now that
Ask Rushcam.
right, that is true. I'm glad. I'm very happy. He's my friend, right? Yeah. So, and people have to just apprise themselves with the information. Don't just get stuck and be difficult, and don't be too hard on yourself or be unwilling to learn. If it is that you don't know something, reach out. And that is why I said earlier that it is important to to put yourself in places where you can learn, where you can develop. We don't know everything. Rushcam just gave me a gem, by talking about putting, the thing on TikTok. Because and to me, I'm like, oh, really? That could go on TikTok? My makeup artist just told me today that a lot of people are doing Miss Kitty on TikTok. So I say, do me on TikTok, what you mean? Me not understand. Do me, what me do know?
You're already on TikTok. You're very popular.
Oh my God, I didn't know this because I'm not on TikTok, and I'm like, okay, would they be interested? But again, if you don't try, nothing tried, nothing done. So to my mind, I was thinking that, okay, if you're not changing clothes and changing wigs and doing all of that stuff, TikTok is not for you. But then you might try something different and it might work. So it's just about being open to grow, being open to change, and to always understand the temperature of your market. So there has been a paradigm shift, which means that we have to adjust. Sometimes we're too stuck in our ways. So Lethan, I will have meetings and I'm like, Lethan, what's going on right now? What's hot? What's going on? Where can we go? Where do we need to build? On what platform do we need to bolster? So we have a lot of things coming out. We're working on some stuff, and me a come out car. Me not play with it. Me a kneel down in them track here, and me a hang on, because there are things to do. So I emerged from the traditional media space. So TV and radio is what I know. Social media for me happened just along the way. I'm not an attention seeker. So I'm not on TikTok or I'm not on Instagram showing my body parts, saying salacious things, or just seeking attention. I am doing my work. I am working hard. I'm integrating and interacting with my audience, but it's not about, yeah, let me see how much likes we can get for this. Or yeah, let me see. Yeah, let me see. No, my brand grew organically. It was not a
Yes.
strategy. Like, yeah, well, here what belly skin blows are weird also. Yeah, want belly skin blows. And I think sometimes a lot of people get caught up in the rush, no pun intended, and then they end up getting lost. You understand? Because at the end of the day, Rush Cam can do Rush Cam. Kalila will do Kalila, and Miss Kitty will do Miss Kitty. But can you learn things from different people? And I will just say this in life: we have to know how to copy the right cat.
Ooh. Ooh.
Copy the right cat, and then put your own
Message.
sprinkling on it, your own sauce on it, and do you. But a lot of times, okay, so for example, I wanted to do a show, like Oprah. I've always loved Sunday, Super Soul Sunday. I'm an Oprah fan, and I said to myself, well, Lord Jesus, somebody have that already. But guess what? At the end of the day, I am me. So because somebody else in a one garden, me can't miss me can't in a one garden, so me can't do with a waterfall, or maybe I get a little crocodile somewhere about the place and do something. So as an influencer or somebody of impact, it is also important now though to think about the business side of it. And I'll drop another one. Right now, the aim is to be paid, not popular.
That's right.
Yes. Yes. No sense in having 1 million followers and you're broke. You're not making anything off it.
All of my million followers and big up on the sale, but I wouldn't even send me $1. Send me
US.
Hey.
US or Euro, right? So
Pound.
it's about being paid and not popular. Popularity doesn't
All
pay.
right, Kadeen, I know you're in the middle of your thing, but your audio is a little bit low. I don't know if you could just.
It's low. Hello,
Yeah.
hello.
We can hear you, but in comparison to everyone else, you just sound a little bit low.
Lord Jesus. All right, let me turn up my voice. Hello? You hear me now?
We can hear you.
Put my mouth on the screen. Hello?
But
Yes.
Naomi.
No, I was just saying that. So I'm saying that it's about being paid and not being popular, because
Yes.
fame is vapor and that will fade. So right now it's about monetizing the social media space and monetizing what you can do. Okay, so it's not just enough anymore. And I've also had to recalibrate my brain to say, okay, yes, I'm on social media, I have 1 million followers, but what does that mean? How do I monetize it? What benefit is that? You have 1 million followers and you're hungry and you're not going away. You're not impacting anybody's lives. So I've never got caught up in the number of followers and people. I'm more concerned with how am I impacting people. When people come to my social media platforms, how are they learning? How are they growing? How are they becoming better versions of themselves? And how can I make them better than when they first came to my platform? But the money is very real. So we have to get very real. So when people call and want a shout out, that is a form, that is tantamount to a commercial. Yes. So don't call and ask. When you call and say, you can't send a big up to so and so or big up a product, or when the corporate company I send one box or one gift with the sole intention of me unboxing it so that you can get my 1 million followers to see your product. That is a form of advertising. So you have to pay for it. When you want me to tag you in something, that's a form of advertising. So people have to be very cognizant of the fact that there has been a paradigm shift. As I said before, it's about being paid, not popular, because we're popular and we pop your belly and pop your foot. But at the end of the day, it is now these things cost. So you want me to be on your platform. Okay, you're having a Zoom meeting. Through your family and you understand, boom bang. But you want me to be on your platform. You have to pay me for my time. I still have to pay for my wig. I still have to pay my stylist. I still have to pay my makeup artist. And remember, said I don't weigh 2 pounds and I don't shape like KFC fries. So I gotta look good and I gotta look hot. So you gotta pay me. And my lashes gotta be paid for. And I don't wear the regular ones. I wear the 3D. Okay.
I
So at the
didn't
end
even
of
know there was a 3D lash.
yeah, there's a 3D girl. You gotta get with it. Hello, please. Bat it. Right.
Hey, but I wanted to add something on the point of monetization, though, because you guys know this is what I talk about all the time
Yes.
here, right? So
Yeah.
you don't need the 1,000,000 followers in order to monetize. I monetize my platform at 6,000 followers. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, I monetize my daughter's platform, Nerissa Baby Genius,
So that's one of I
1,000 followers.
going here. Okay, we're gonna talk
1,000
about Baby Genius.
followers. Yeah, less than 1,000 when we got that deal with massive distributors for her.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily about having the huge audience. There are different ways that you can earn income without getting directly paid from YouTube or directly paid from the podcast platform. There's so many ways that you can monetize.
So Kalila, when are you gonna do influencer monetizing thing? Because I'd like to hear about it so that we can come and take notes. And people, when as I said, it's so important that you listen to these people. Rushcam is on his business. Rushcam is successful. Instead of just being over there and eating, I'm ignorant to me say I don't like him. Like him. Because I do something good, call him and say, get off your high horse and say, Rushcam, hi, how are you? I'm interested in this YouTube thing. Would you be kind enough to, give me some direction? Boy, Kalila, I don't know about this money vibes business. I don't know how to monetize Instagram or YouTube. Because the thing about it, Naomi, nobody teaches us that. And what
Correct.
I notice, people of other races, they teach each other, they share information. We tend to, as people of the Negroid race, hoard information. I know the earthfulest part. Earthfulest is not a word, but the earthfulest part is that a lot of people who hoard the information, they're not even using it.
So
They are not even using it.
Miss Kitty, just on that point, right? And I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually going to suggest to the three of you that you all need to sit down and have a conversation about how you are utilizing these different platforms. Because there's no reason that you, Kadeem, should not have a Miss Kitty newsletter that goes out, or for you to be
Kalila for sure,
right?
because
I think that, and one of the great things about Scope Caribbean is what we are trying to build is a community for influencers where we provide more webinars like this, more workshops, because there is no formalization of the space. As you said, all of you are kind of winging it, right?
Yes,
You're learning,
yes.
you're doing your own research and whatever. And what we're trying to do with Scope from the influencer side, not only are we trying to ensure that we are pairing emerging and established influencers with the right brands for paid opportunities, including those unboxings and such that you spoke of, but also to ensuring that we are helping to build the community. So with our insights, with our learnings, with the data that we can get from the platform that we use, and also simple things like engaging Kalila to do a session about monetization in the influencer space in the Caribbean. That's a big deal, right?
Yes.
And I wanted to move on to the fact that as Kalila said, she has a baby genius. So I don't know if you've seen Nerissa Baby Genius, but she is a baby genius. And she picked up on that very early and decided to try, okay, let me provide a platform for my child and see how this works. And brands are attracted to it. How many child stars do we really have in Jamaica right now that are on Instagram or on YouTube that are monetizing? Nerissa is what, 3 years old, Kalila?
Yeah, she just turned 3.
And she's a brand ambassador. Okay.
That's hot. That's hot.
Okay.
That's hot.
Yeah, and the difference with her is that most of the children you see on social media are just, they're cute. And that's what they're known for being cute. But she's known for being intelligent at 3 years old. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so she tells her cool stories. I think today's was about the crocodile and the alligator.
The monkey and the alligator.
The alligator, right? She just makes up her stories. But, it provides brands. Brands are looking for opportunities every day.
Yes.
So it's about really understanding your value, what you have to offer, understanding your audience, and then, okay, how can I actually build my brand and make money from this? And it's a job, it's a full-time job.
And that's the thing. And so for a lot of people, I know it's daunting. It's daunting for me as well, because I wear many hats. It's not like me as an unemployed person. Just sit down and have one something for do. But what I also know, it is strategizing and meeting of the minds, right? So, and
Yes.
meeting of the right minds. So I've been on Rushcam's platform. I've reached out to him. I've asked him, and he has been so gracious. To say, Miss Kitty, anytime you're ready, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if you don't know something, you don't know, and you need to know. So you have to ask the pertinent questions. Being an influencer or a woman of impact, or even a man of impact, is not just about being naked. It's not just about being flippant. It's not just about the clothes and the Gucci this and the Louis Vuitton that. Companies are looking for other things, and you too, as an individual, you need to also be about much more substance over hype. So of course the
Yes.
cartoon is nice. Yes, the looks are cute, as Kalila alluded to. Yeah, babies are cute, but what else? So now Nerisi is there. You're watching her. You know what? She was talking about the crocodile and the alligator. Maybe I need to talk to my child about the crocodile and the alligator instead of just the pan. Gaga, go go, baba baba, mama, shabalaba. Yeah.
Kitty,
I think Rush has a burning point to make.
something just like hit me, and it's that, like sometimes, and I'm glad that you used the word daunting, because when you hear the conversation about influencers and the fact that people are looking for substance and so on, it's hard being someone of substance when you see that the people who are getting the opportunities, or the people who are
Yes.
out there with the
Yes.
followers and whatever, are people who lack substance,
True.
right?
What a brain cell. That is
it,
the truth.
it's difficult to hear and it's difficult to see, but you have to think of yourself as running a marathon and not just a 100-meter
Great.
dash.
Yeah.
Because when all of this is said and done, again, it is important to remember this is a community that you're building, and
Yes.
not just the audience. Anybody can follow you right now. If you boom flick and bust a split right now and it go viral, you can get followers.
True.
But do you have a community? No. So just think of yourself in the long run and know that it's hard, because you're just like, but them say them Miss Kitty say, "I must have substance," but me not see nobody with substance a bust.
That is
You
true.
know, but yeah,
That is
it's
But
okay.
the thing is, say you do the boom flick and you get the million followers after from that. What do you do with that following?
What
Yeah.
do you do next?
Yes.
And can you have a sustainable life and a
Yes.
sustainable career with that boom flip bus a split? Because guess what? You see, every single time you show up in a space after that,
If you're boom
boom
flick.
You better be ready.
flick. And if
Yeah.
you're not boom flick and split, it's over. And
Yes.
so it's
No, you
not.
have to add to it. So now you have to boom,
Yeah,
flick,
yeah,
and
add
flip, and
something
then go
more.
on your head top
Oh
too.
yes, and your
You
wig
better
has
boom
to
flick on a
drop off.
crocodile back.
Yes. And so I'm just encouraging those people out there, because I know I get the messages sometimes, Rush, I want to just get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I may do something when I like. I honestly like it, but I feel like I need to do some pranks, or I need to do this, or I
Yes.
need to, but it's okay. Take your time and get there, because you will look back at your career and it will be something that you're proud of. It will be sustainable, and it's something that you can genuinely boom flick, dragonfly, and it's something that you are able to earn from if properly positioned. So just
I'm happy that you said that, because Rushcam is something that I'm not. My presence on YouTube is not as strong as my Facebook or my Instagram or even my Twitter, because as I said, I just wasn't thinking about YouTube as that platform and all of that. Now that we have to be repositioning and pivoting and adapting, but when I look for real and I see the people who are popular, they're doing some, and I'm like, I'm not looking down on anybody, because everybody has their audience and their platform. But the ones that seem to be getting the traction are those that are doing some wild out things and some, things that I don't subscribe to. And so you really think to yourself, then, does it make sense for me to go over there? I wonder if people are going to follow me. I wonder if people are going to watch me. I wonder if they're going to subscribe. And this thing, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. It's like, I beg people. I'm going to say, say. I'm going to tell me, don't beg. Like and subscribe.
Well, sorry. Just as you said that, I'm going to ask everyone that's watching right now, please like and subscribe to Scope Caribbean channel. I don't mind begging for the likes. This is the first time we're going live on this platform. We would like the support, and I'm sure you want to see more of these amazing episodes and webinars. So
yes,
like and subscribe. Thank you, Kitty.
Like and subscribe, right? So you do that. But again, you have to look into it and say, once your intentions are pure and once you know the direction in which you want to go, it will catch on. I am very happy to say that all of my followers that I have on all of my platforms, I've never had to do anything denigrating, anything that disrespects my womanhood. And I've never had to do anything to, compromise my integrity, my dignity, and my pride. And I'm very proud of that. I've seen others do it. Makura did do it too. Come and say, well, if I that around the place, I that around the place. But as Polonius in Hamlet said, to thine own self be true. And when the people who are for you, they will ride for you. The people who truly love you and support you, wherever you go, they will support you. There are some people who are fleeting and they will come today and be gone tomorrow. As far as I'm concerned, they were never one of you to begin with. Some people just come because them fast or because they just want to see something or them over there watch or whatever. But your true community will love you and they will support you because they see the genuinity in you.
Absolutely. So guys, I want to switch it up just a little bit and I want to ask you, what do you wish brands, right? Or let's say corporate Jamaica would rush at that face, would understand about this content creation space? Because ultimately that's what you guys are. You guys are basically creating your own media channels, your own media houses, maybe not as extensive as Kalila, but you are all content creators. But there seems to be a disconnect in a lot of instances between the brands and the actual content creators. So tell me, what do you think? What are some of your challenges in this space right now?
I would say that if you're gonna approach an influencer, I find that the companies don't usually approach with a level of respect for what is being done and what it takes to get it done. You see a product or you see a video on YouTube, Kitty will tell you a camera have to buy, you have to have lights, we have to edit it, it takes time, you have to come up with the concept, you have to get a haircut, you have to keep your skin clean, you have to buy clothes, you have to
take your vitamins.
You have to take your vitamins, yes. And you see us. And there's so
real work
that are involved in showing up for one piece of content. And it's just so simple in their minds. They're just like, but it's just a 5
minutes.
Just turn on your ring light.
Just 2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes. No. It's a lot of work. And also I have spent time to develop and to cultivate a community. And you're asking for access to that, right? I take that very seriously. And so you can't just call me today and say, Rush, come pose with this and go away. No, I take it very seriously because I take them seriously because they take me seriously.
And you have to protect your community.
Yes, and so because I protect them because they've been protecting me and supporting me, I have to be very strategic and considerate of certain things that I do, right? So when you said to me, say, Rush, hold the phone, and I call you and I say, boy, honestly, it would have been better if we do it this way. I am telling you because I know I talk to this audience every day. I see them every day. They are my family. So if you're going to approach influencers, please collaborate with them. Don't just talk down to them and say, Rush, we need you to do this. And please respect the craft and respect everything that goes into it. It is hard work. It takes time, right? And last thing, one last thing. Wait, okay. No, it's the internet. I do not know if brands realize that we are not hungry. And so it is great to be recognized and it is great to get the box and it's great to see the juice in the box, but that cannot pay the light bill.
Truly.
There is an AC that is on in the background. I have to pay JPS at the end of the month. There are costs that are associated with it that are not connected to the literal service or the literal product. And so if I'm asking you for a compensation package, that is exclusive of the product or the service. I need that because that is the payment for what I'm doing. You cannot give me a chips and tell me say the chips is the payment. I need the chips to do the content, miss. I need the chips. So oh yeah, tell me say the chips is payment. So what am I gonna do about the light bill? Send our
Yeah.
chips?
Yeah.
No, so please.
Yeah. And
You know
I,
what's funny? As you said, a colleague mentor of mine once, I remember just having a conversation, and a brand had kept on sending her product, beverage, or wanting to have lunch. And I remember she said to me, "But I'm not hungry or thirsty."
amen. Amen. But I know, and I
So
definitely concur. Yeah.
I don't actually need to do this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I like what Rushcam said, and I concur, and I will embolden the point by saying that, listen, one of I don't know, taught me to show. I will embolden the point by saying, Naomi, that a lot of times brands don't understand that in the say it has to be a symbiotic relationship. You're gaining from me and I am gaining from you. And the truth be told, a lot of times, depending on the brand or the influencer or the person of impact who you're engaging, you are benefiting more than
Yeah.
even me. You understand? Because my platform is so strong, so robust, and so global that really and truly you supposed to even glad that I am thinking about bringing you on my platform and introducing you to my people. It is especially hard for females because a lot of brands automatically think that females may not know, we don't have no sense, or we don't have no use for money, and you should just be so happy to be associated with you. Excuse me, you know, so I'm born good and my christen, I'm have my birth paper, I'm gonna get my right father, I'm quite all right. All right, and you're gonna make me disrespect y'all. So when you say to me, oh, it's just 2 minutes, or it's just 2 hours, or it's just an hour, understand that this just an hour, I had to do research, I had to get ready, I have to buy clothes, I have to do all this prep. So for example, there are shows that I'm going on, and I know when I'm on a reggae songfest stage, I need to look a certain way, or I want to look a certain way. I have to import my outfit. Okay, I also know how to go to the gym for 2 months prior. Okay, I remember the gym fee then boya is not $2. Me have to go gym for 2 months. I have to be eating a particular way. I have to be wearing certain things because, as Rushcam said, when you show up for work, I believe in being impeccable and I believe in professionalism. So when you see me for that moment or that time, please understand that a lot has gone into it. Also, when it comes to years of working, I have mastered my craft. I have put time, money,
Yes.
effort into building my brand and my empire. How dare you step to me with your little bit of money? Hey, I'll be saying, no, I'll be rude today,
Let
no.
me
Everybody want what I know come and forget this off of my chest. Good. You understand? When you call me, but you want to meet with me, when you want to meet with me, my time is money. When you're meeting, have your money ready. And let me just say this: I represent, I'm a brand ambassador for Digicel, and big up this Digicel, big up Nasha. When I don't have a problem, because it's about relationship and it's about
yes.
networking, right? So not every company will always have a big budget, and I'm fine with that. Not all the time you're even going to have a budget, and I'm fine with that. But what I also expect from you is that when you call me with your no budget or your low budget, when you have a big budget, you have to call me too. You can't always be calling and begging and want me to cut down and want me to give you a blind. And at the end of the day, you're asking me to give you a blind and you never call me back. You never use me for anything else. And this on this one occasion, when you're calling me with with your crumbs. That is disrespectful. And to me, at a certain level, when you call me with that, I just want to be rude here because obviously you don't regard my brand. You don't have any regard for me. And so brands need to understand that. Listen, just like how you value what you do, you have to value what I do. Because guess what? You cannot take a mic and rock 100,000 people like I can. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. If me Lego you put my radio show to keep thousands of people entertained and in tune for 2 hours straight, you cannot do it. Remember, I'm not talking from a prompter. I'm talking from my brain.
Amen.
And
Wow.
the people them law school, I'm gonna come out on these things, and you do other things, you take courses. I pay to go to webinars, I pay to go to seminars to edify myself, to strengthen myself and my craft. But you know what is true? A lot of Jamaicans do not respect creatives because everybody just thinks say, anybody can do that. I remember somebody said, anybody can host a show. What Miss Kitty do, anybody can do that. Until she had to host a birthday party and crumbled like the cake. The crumbs. You have to respect people's creativity. I respect what Kalila does. I couldn't do that, or that is not my forte. I respect what Rushcam does. So yes, I believe in collaboration, but corporate Jamaica has to understand when people are on top of their game, stop trying to underrate them and underpay them. It is not nice and it is disrespectful. When I show up, I wear $2 clothes and no wig when I wear and a $2 fee. I have to go hard because I have a brand to maintain. So when you're asking me, I just have 15 minutes. I just have 10 minutes. What is that? I don't know what that's about. So I don't have a problem to do free shows. I don't have a problem to do low budget shows. But also, man, when you work with me and you know my value, and a lot of times when you approach me because you know my value and you know my worth. You know what I bring to the table. You know that I am the table. But you always want to be unkind and you want to be mean, right? And you want to just skim it. But yet, see, when you're talking to your other friends who don't have my reach, don't have my acumen, don't have my credibility or relevance, you shell out all the money on them. I'm not interested. I don't want to hear it. Some companies are far too out of order, and I don't subscribe to that at all. If you want to meet with me, do a bank transfer, then we can have a meeting. Time is money and money is time. Talk to me. Me is a girl that always wants to sleep. I'm going to have something to read. Yeah.
Kalila, on that note.
Two things I want to add, because Russia and Kitty said a whole lot, and I agree 100% with everything that they've said. So I don't have much to add, but two things. Insist on your deposit. Insist on your deposit. So you do not even get in my calendar unless the deposit has been paid. And I learned that the hard way, because I've done work, and then after I've booked events, and then on the day of the event, the person called to cancel. After I already take off the day off work, I already cleared my calendar, got my outfit. Now you're gonna tell me, oh, we hired somebody else. We forgot to tell you. No. Doesn't work like that. And for social media work, same. If somebody is booking you to post something on social media, insist on your deposit. It's the only way to weed out who's serious from who's just taking you for a fool. So once they've paid their deposit, that tells you that, okay, this person is serious. Let me start doing some work. And that's when at that point is when I'm going to start creating content and start even brainstorming ideas, not before that deposit is paid, for those reasons.
What is also hurtful, guys, I'll just say this quickly, is that we don't value our Jamaican creatives. We don't value our Jamaican celebrities. We don't value our Jamaican public figures enough. We look down on them like they are nothing. I was at a place and I heard there were two girls there, and one of them, her cousin or sister wanted to take a picture with Usain, and she was like, yeah, where you going to far? Yeah, well, like Usain as somebody. After you say another body, I mean, I said, well, if you see another body, then might as well we just go down a town and go lie down, because really ever.
Well, like if I see you seeing 10 times for the year, I'm gonna want to take a picture.
I'm shook every time.
So I can update my pictures with your scene.
Usain is a fellow brand ambassador, and I'm a Gladys Knight without the pips when I see him. The other day he posted his one of him race them. I'm gonna tell you, say, cold bomb take me out over again. Hear me, what me I cry for? After you said I'm a god brother, what is this? But you have to value people. I noticed that when it comes to the overseas creatives or influencers or whatever it is, Jamaican companies are willing to shell out all of their bank accounts on them. So why not us? Am I not good enough? Am I not worth it? Well, guess what? I'm not even waiting for you to acknowledge same. I know my worth. I know my value. I know what I bring to the table. And as aforementioned, I am the table. I'm the knife and fork. I'm the napkin. I am the tablecloth. I am the mahogany that built the table.
You are the doily.
You're going to pay.
Miss Kitty, on that same point there, so you have had a long career, so you know your worth, but a lot of people, especially just starting, don't know their worth, and that's a big problem too. And so
before you even jump into that, because that's the wrap-up question, guys. We're almost at the 2-hour mark.
Oh,
right?
wow.
But that's fine. That's great. It's been super engaging. So you start first, Kalina, but my last question, I know none of you want to leave, and that's fine. For the panel was, see, I should have worn my glasses.
Me too.
What advice would you give to these emerging influencers? People that are watching right now that have an interest in entering this space or they're just starting. So I'll go back to you, Kalila, because that's what you were touching on.
Yeah, so one thing that I would say to you is start high.
Yeah.
You may have a number in your mind and you may be thinking, oh, but that's too much. I can't ask for that. That's too much. Ask for it and see what they say.
Yes.
Start high, start with the high. And so many of us, what we do is we think of the number, we say that's too much and we come down. Let them bring you down if that's not their budget. And then use budget as your negotiating point. If they do say it's too much, then say, okay, what's your budget? And that gives you a much better idea of what you can negotiate and where you can work with. So start high and try to find out what their budget is, and that will give you an idea where to go.
Rush, what would be your word of advice or words of advice? I see. Are you writing a book? Is that a whole book?
No, I had to write it down so that I'm clear and cogent, right? Miss Kitty, clear and cogent. Yeah.
Yes.
The first thing I'd say is work hard and smart. A lot of people start and they asking the questions they've done no amount of work. They've not negotiated, they haven't collaborated with anybody, they've done nothing. But they're just like, yeah, man, I want to do it. No work involved. It takes work. It's not a pretty girl thing. It's not a hot boy thing. Well, if you want to do that, that's fine. But as I said, for something sustainable, you have to work hard and work smart. Part of working smart is also to do the research.
Yes.
So you want to be on YouTube? All right, there are 100 million trillion videos on YouTube. How to start a YouTube channel? Start there. Do some research. Miss Kitty said, read a book, edify yourself, ask the right questions, go on the webinars. You have platforms like this. 10 years ago, you would never have so many resources that are easily accessible and available to you. Use them, do the research, ask the questions. You have people that you see at webinars, seminars every hours, and them there. Ask the question in the chat. Hey, Miss Kitty, I would like to know if whatever. So that's another thing. And last but not least, it is a business.
It's a business.
It's a business.
And your brand is a business.
Your brand is a business, and if you're going to run a business, run it well. If you're not ready, then hold the brakes, because you can't start over on branding like that. You can't undo certain mistakes. So remember, it's a business. Align yourself with the right things. Think long term and be strategic. It is not a 100-meter race. It is a marathon.
Amen.
Nice.
And over to you, Miss Kitty. What are your words of advice? I mean, you have all been dropping some really amazing gems. For those that just joined, you have a whole 2 hours to watch when this is finished.
Yay.
So that you can get everything that we spoke about today.
Nice. Essentially, it's, understand that you do the smart work, the hard work, but also do the heart work. A lot of people want to get involved in social media or be an influencer for the wrong reasons. If it is that your intentions are wrong, 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up down the wrong path. You have to be true to yourself. What problem are you solving? What are you adding? What's your value added? I always want to bring value. So for example, if a company hires me, you hire me to host your show, but then I also post you on my social media. I also do a post-mortem, and I might big you up on my radio show. Those are 2 platforms for which you didn't pay, but when you hire Miss Kitty, you get value added. Also understand that Rome was not built in a day, and so it will not happen overnight. There are times when, yes, you have to understand that your brand is a business, but a part of business is networking, a part of business is collaboration, and it's not always about dollars and cents. Don't be greedy and don't put the cart before the horse. If it is, say, for example, Naomi invites me somewhere. All right, yes, she's not paying me now, but also this platform is exposing me to new people. So I am benefiting as well. So we also have to think about business, not just in a monetary way, but think about it in a holistic way. Develop yourself. Listen, The human capital is of paramount importance. You don't want to stay the same way each and every day, each and every month, each and every quarter, each and every year.
Mhm.
Target to grow. Put yourself in spaces where you can grow, but also understand and know your value, know your worth, and don't back off of that. If somebody doesn't value you, trust me, the right people will come. I know for a lot of people, and it happens to me or used to happen to me. Lord Jesus, if you turn down that opportunity, I wonder, listen, the right one will come. God will open the
Yep.
door.
Yep.
And when the
Absolutely.
door lock, the window will open. So if it is that somebody wants to hire me and I give them my price, and by the way, allow them to offer first, and then you do a counter offer. Because if you're coming to me, you must have a budget. If you don't have a budget, all right, think about it and call me back. Because you must have a budget.
Yeah.
You must have a budget in mind. But what I'm saying is be strategic, as Rushcam said, but also understand that your footprints on the internet, they matter. Be very careful of the toes that you step on. Be very careful of what you're saying. You can speak the truth, but do so in a capsule of decency. Be careful of who you troll. Be careful of who you're unkind to, especially unnecessarily, because some
Yes.
of the people who you're so unkind to and uncharitable to, those are the same persons that you're going to want sponsor something for you or want to do something for you. You understand? So be very mindful of that, but just be true to your craft. It takes a lot of work, a lot of research, and a lot of passion. A lot of people think about it as a hustle. It should be your life. And think about the impact, not just on Jamaica, but we have to think about the world. Monetize it, it's a business, and think long term and just be yourself. You know, you're you, you're unique, and that is why you're extra special and extraordinary.
Wow, guys, thank you so, so much. Oh, Rush, tears. I mean, the comments have been going non-stop throughout this
Nice.
entire virtual launch. And we are just so grateful that you would take the time to be a part of this event with us. You are all like family to us in different ways, different experiences. And we're just really thankful because we know your time means money, right?
Hello.
So we are actually truly honored that you would take this time, a whole hour, to spend with us as we launch Scope Caribbean. And before we go, just because we've been really speaking about this influencer space, we do want to have more webinars over the next few weeks where we talk about different areas in the industry and also talking about the casting side of the business as well. How can you appear in commercials and ads, and that's a whole nother business. And so to help with that, Scope Caribbean is actually gifting everyone that signs up on scopecaribbean.com as an influencer or talent a 17-page free ebook on how to get started as an influencer. Nice. So that is free to anyone that signs up. If you've already signed up on Scope Caribbean, then you should be getting an email with that ebook in your inbox tonight. So you can look out for that. And that's just one of the ways that we want to help our community. So as we continue with Scope Caribbean, on the platform, there's actually a section for resources, and we're going to be continuously adding different kinds of resources for our community to use. And again, if you're an established influencer, Scope is also for you. If you have an agent, you can add your agent to your profile. So we're not here to try and fish talent or influencers from existing management. We're just trying to enhance the industry, give our brands that we work with a lot more options to choose from, and using some real-time data and information to support the decisions they're making and the decisions that you are all making as influencers when you're choosing the different platforms that you're using to do your brand collaborations. Yeah. So again, we are so thankful to Kalila, Roshane, Kadeem, Miss Kitty, to Kimberly, Nicole, and Nasha, who were on earlier, for really sharing your time and sharing your knowledge and sharing your expertise as we continue to learn more about this growing industry that offers so much opportunity in so many spaces. So we are super grateful. Thank you so, so much. And, we are always here to support you in everything that you do. I definitely think the three of you need to get together to share some information on the different platforms that you use. I'd love to see a collabo with time. I think it'll be pretty exciting, and I know that the audience that's watching right here will love it. Again, I'm going to do the pitch. Please like and subscribe to our Scope Caribbean channel so that you're in the know when next we're doing a webinar. I'm not afraid to say it. So thanks again, guys, and we really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Have a great
Thanks
night.
for having me.
Thank
you.
you.
Caribbean.com.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Influence responsibly.
Yeah. Bye.
Let's get this money.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks again. Follow us on social media on Instagram at Scope Caribbean. Visit our website, scopecaribbean.com. Sign up as a talent or influencer today. You don't have to be established. You could be emerging. And look out for your free ebook to guide you on your way to becoming an influencer. So thank you so much for the comment. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. And look out for more from Scope Caribbean. Thank you so much, guys.